This Three Beards Media podcast may contain mature themes and may not be suitable for all audiences.
Hey, that should be our hype music for this season. When we come out of the gate at Jack Trice, that should be the music. I was back here vibing to it, and I know I saw Brent's head vibing to it. You know, I don't know, John. We got special guests on here, but before we get to our special guests, we want to talk about why one of our normal hosts is not here. Every single week, there's something. Whether it's the Roblox on the computer, he can't find his microphone, he can't find the headphones, or the internet's being taken up by the bandwidth. Marcus Pfizer is still trying to find a way to get on to the broadcast. John, this is a reoccurring experience that we have. Is it every episode? It's
like 98% of them.
Yeah.
Well, you know, what I remember about Marcus as a player was that he was a finisher, you know. So I don't know about a starter, but I know he was last.
He came on one time when he was in his car. So he does come on, John.
I believe you. I believe you. And, man, I look forward to seeing him again. I tell you what, the last 12, 15 games of his college career, he was the best college basketball player in America. And there's no doubt about it. And so he's a finisher. So maybe he's going to finish strong on our podcast.
That's it.
Nice. Yeah, so, hey, this is George Trice, joined, as always, by Brent Curvey, soon to be joined by Marcus Pfizer, and our special guest of the evening, John Walters. So, John, we want to welcome you. As it says, the voice of Iowa State, the voice of the Cyclones. And you live in Greensboro.
I live in Ankeny.
Why does it say,
does it say Greensboro on there?
It says live Greensboro. Live Greensboro. What's that for?
That's interesting. I didn't put that there. But,
okay, I didn't know what that was either. Okay,
I was wondering.
Greensboro's a suburb of Ankeny. It's just a little offshoot here. No, I don't know how that got there. Sorry,
hey, simply, can you erase that? You know, I can do it.
Yeah, I'll let you do
it. He took everything down now.
I don't want to turn into Marcus and take myself off the whole thing.
Oh, man. So I see Marcus is trying to get on back here. He has no camera, so hopefully he can hear us talking about him. Marcus, we are talking about you. So, welcome to Side of Storm, as always. Brought to you by Three Beards Media, and then supported and sponsored by Revelton Distillery. So, you know, we're here. The season is getting close. So, you know, I have a couple topics that I always have on here. And really, it's the NFL news, Iowa Staters, of course, Iowa State news for the college and anything that's been going on in the news there. And then I see the 15 in the background. And I have on here, John, I did not know you were going to have that jersey back there. And I had saw, hey, what's up, Toya? Toya Younger's on there. She's watching us as always. Awesome. So thanks for watching, Toya. You know, they had this Seneca versus Purdy debate. They had the stats where, you know, we know Purdy broke all the records. We know Seneca was dynamic, and we can get into that conversation because when basketball starts, I know Marcus and I are going to talk about the GOAT. I always want to talk about that because he's played with everybody under the sun. in their prime and as they were kind of coming out. But he's played with some of these guys in that debate. But the Seneca Purdy, that number 15. They're both on the poster that was sent to Sam Hayward, Reggie Hayward's son, and Marcus was not on there, which we wondered why Marcus was not on there. That was somebody that was missing from that. But that was a glitch, so we won't talk about that. But we want to welcome John on as our special guest. So, John, for the viewers and the listeners that do not know who you are, please introduce yourself as you will.
Sure, absolutely. The director of broadcasting for Cyclones.tv and quote unquote the voice of the Cyclones. This will be my 21st season calling football and basketball on the Cyclone Radio Network, but I've been around it going all the way back to 1982 and Johnny Orr. And so, man, I've been around for all of it and loved watching these guys play. As I said a few minutes ago, nobody in the country was playing better than Marcus Pfizer at the end of his career. He was absolutely phenomenal. And curveball, I'm telling you, nobody's going to break his record. He's like Joe DiMaggio because there's never going to be another defensive tackle in the history of college football that scores 3 touchdowns, especially at 50 yards or more.
I hope not.
That's a record that can't be touched, man. That's a record that can't be touched. So these are a couple of my favorites. So it's a real pleasure to join you guys.
That's what's up. So, John, that means you were when my senior year in high school. You would have been calling the game when I visited Iowa State. I don't know if you remember that game. It was a February basketball game. 1998. That's when I was there with Tom Hill. I was in the stands, and I cannot remember who we were playing. I just know it was a winter day and it was cold as hell. And I'm from Cleveland, so saying it was cold as hell is because nothing blocks the wind, and you don't know what the weather's going to be like. No matter what it looks like outside, you cannot really tell what it's going to look like or feel like. But it was a great day out there. So you've been around for a minute, so much love to you for that.
Yeah, it's Hilton Coliseum is a special place, and man, there's so many great memories in there. And it started with Johnny Orr, but without a doubt, it continues on. And Tim Floyd, that era that you're talking about, into the championship seasons with Larry Eustachy, and and now currently with a great coach in TJ Otzelberger too. All the fun years with Fred, and man, it's been a blast. I've just I feel very blessed to have been around it and been a part of it.
Now, where are you from in Iowa? Are you originally from Iowa? Where are you from?
I grew up in Chicago area, Glen Ellen, Illinois. Yep. But I've been in Iowa for 43 years, so I'm a heck of a lot more Iowan than Chicagoan at this point. And so, no place I'd rather be. I love it here.
You speaking to the choir. I being from Cleveland, I left when I was 18, came out to Iowa State, and lived there for 10 years. And it's like family. It's like home for me. Like, it's where I became an adult, became a man. And I love Iowa. Like, never have anything bad to say about Iowa. People always ask, well, what did you do in Iowa for fun? I mean, the same thing you do anywhere. You could find fun. You could find something to do. I mean, it's not the big city, but we have a city. So you could go do things. So it's like, it felt like home. It felt comfortable. Yeah. It was just different than that big city living. And I liked it coming from where I was. And just like I expected from Chicago, you like that. And from Houston, it's just a different feeling when you come to Iowa in general.
Yeah. I'm still a big Bears fan and Blackhawks fan and Bulls fan and all that stuff, but I love Chicago. I always will. But man, I'm way more Iowan. And what I love about the state of Iowa is that college sports is the big deal. In Chicago, you heard a little bit about Notre Dame. You heard a little bit about, very rarely, about Northwestern and the Illini, but really people didn't care. They're all about the Bears, the Bulls, Blackhawks, the Cubs. And so, here, man, this is the center of attention. The Cyclones are it. The Hawkeyes get a little bit of attention here and there, but mostly it's about the Cyclones, and that's where we want it.
That's it.
And it's a great thing. It's cool to have college athletics kind of be at the center of everybody's lives, and I think that's what makes it so special to be around this thing.
Yeah, that was interesting for me coming there because I'm like, Sundays was the day for me. I mean, we live right in Cleveland with the Browns. So, the Saturday, I wasn't an Ohio State fan. I grew up a Michigan fan in Michigan State because my family was in Detroit. So half my family's in Cleveland, half in Detroit. I never went to Columbus. So I'm not the Ohio State, but I never really spent those Saturdays, like I spent the Sundays. It was the Sundays we did it because we had professional teams. And that was the change for me coming to Iowa State, is not having that professional team. Toya, of course, Toya gonna say something about Go Spartans.
Hey, my dad went to Michigan. My cousin pole vaulted for Michigan, so I actually I kind of grew up a Michigan fan. That was kind of my college team when I was a kid, but I didn't know anything about Iowa State at the time. And now that I do, man, this is the place to be. So,
Yes.
I didn't know anything about Iowa State either.
Yeah. Once you're here, you get it pretty ingrained in it. It's like, okay, man, it's awesome.
Brent thought it was spelled Ohio. He was like, Ohio? What?
Yeah.
What? Yeah. That's what everybody think.
Every time I told somebody, I was like, "Oh, you going to school?" It's like, "Yeah, going to Iowa State." Oh, Ohio State? No, not that one. Going to Iowa State. They were like, "Oh, okay."
Yep, and that was in the conversation.
Right, that was it.
Guys, we were out in Hawaii one time for the Rainbow Classic basketball tournament, and we're sitting by the pool, my wife and I, and my daughter, who was about 10 at the time. She's sitting there swimming with these other kids, and they're like, "Well, where are you from?" And my daughter asked them, "Where are they from?" And they said, "Well, we're from California. Where are you from?" And she goes, "Iowa." She goes, "The potato state." So, we sit down in our chairs a little bit like, oh man. So we get it. We get that all the time from all angles. Idaho, Ohio. Nobody can ever figure out where Iowa is. Hey, Marcus.
Marcus, are you on your phone doing this?
You on mute.
You're on mute.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you
now.
Man, finally.
Okay. So, hey, tell us a story because we've been talking bad about you. So, tell us a story right now.
What story?
The story about why you late and why you on your phone right now.
Well, I'm on my phone. This cord right here, it comes out of the mic, is what me and my wife, my niece, and my daughter has been looking for the last 20 minutes. Somehow, some way, somebody takes it from my mic, so now everyone is banned from my work desk. You cannot get on your computer, do homework, nothing. No, we couldn't find the mic, this cord that goes into the computer. Once we find the cord, now the computer camera won't come on. And remember, this is a brand new computer, so last week it worked. Like,
oh man, so you can't win for losing.
We just explained this to John because we're like, this happens 98% of the time. So hey, Marcus, if you can't see, John's on with us today.
I see everyone now. It's on the phone. It's a little smaller, but it's gonna work. Make sure I got enough battery on my phone and don't be like curveball over here.
That's it.
I apologize, folks.
No, that's all good.
Hey Marcus, great to see you, man. I've been telling these guys you're a finisher anyway. I don't need you in the first 5 minutes of the game. I need you in the last 5 minutes of the game with the game on the line. So,
oh man, that's what's up. That. So Marcus, we were talking about, we're gonna go and jump into the NFL news. I got a couple little stats here. As we know, tomorrow at 4 Eastern is when they got to cut to 53. Now Brent, you told us a story last week. Tell us that story again because it's going to be pertinent to what I'm going to go into next. So tell us about your experience at that line after preseason. They got to cut down, the feeling that you have, the anxiety that you have, and then not what happens if you get the call to go or to get the call to go, but just a feeling, just the emotion that's going in your mind as this cut happens.
I mean, you kind of know if we're being honest, we all kind of have an idea if we're going to stay or not. So. Last game, I think we played Pittsburgh, I believe. So got a ton of minutes. Just one of those where you don't want to answer your phone at 6 o'clock because they get the early AM calls at 6 a.m. And if that hotel phone rings, it's not a girl waiting for you downstairs. It's the caravan waiting on you to make sure you got your playbook. So it's just one of those things, man. I had an idea. I knew I did all I could. And at that point, it was just up to them to make a decision. And I, of course, felt like I was better than some of the guys they kept. But, it's a lot of politics, how the game goes. So I learned a huge life lesson. But it's just one of those things, man. I had fun, talked to the guys. I wish I would have took more gear before I left. That's the one thing I hate I didn't. I don't have a lot of Panther stuff. I'm so mad at myself for not doing it. But, got that call and said, "Hey, son, bring your playbook. We'll be there in 20 minutes." I'm already packed up, ready to go, so it's all good. I had a blast. Family got to see me on TV, so at that point, it's just a matter of what happens next. So,
but the thing about this is how many college? There's 144 D1 schools. There's 100 and something D2 schools, D3 schools. They draft 250 some players on that draft day. They have undrafted players that go out there that get invited. There's a lot of there's 70 players on each football team that's in college, and you made it to that level. So you work the work ethic, the things you put in there to get to that level shows a lot about you and about your character and about your talent. And that's where I wanted to go into this conversation about, what I've been reading online about what's going to happen today and tomorrow. And so these are ESPN and Fox Sports are the kind of ones I've been looking at, or just checking like the 53-man rosters, what they're saying. And so, excuse me, audience. Again, I'm under the weather a little bit, but so the ESPN 53-player roster does not predict Will McDonald on the Jets. Now, I saw him out there playing, but they do not predict him to make the team, the 53, not the practice squad or anything, but that 53-man roster. Mm-hmm. Second one I have on here is for the Packers. So Anthony Johnson Jr. So talking about who they have 5 players that they're looking at for that safety position. Now, we all know that Anthony switched positions from a cornerback to a safety. And so what they said here is, they said Darnell Savage and Rudy Ford seem to be the front runners. But what they said about Anthony, they said Anthony Johnson Jr. is a talented young player the Packers won't want to lose, and he can contribute on special teams. So that's what we're looking for, to see if Anthony Johnson Jr. makes that spot. Again, doing that, switching positions for the NFL, after playing a certain position all your life and then going to switch because of your possibilities are greater to make a team at that level, at that position, shows about him. So he's still in that green right now from the predictions there. Charlie Kolar for the Ravens. ESPN has him on the team. He ended the preseason with the second most receiving yards among tight ends, 120 yards on 10 targets. So they have him going on there, being good on Baltimore. And then Hutchinson for the Texans. Fox Sports says a no. They said he had 2 catches for 22 yards in the first 2 games, but then he hauled in 48 yards on 6 targets, including a 24-yard grab in the last game. So Anthony Johnson and Kolar, they're saying, are going to make it, whereas they're saying Will McDonald and Xavier are not going to be on teams this year, on the 53-man roster this year, not practice squad, but 53-man roster. Any thoughts about this? And this is to you, John, as well.
I mean, I'll say they won't. There's no way they're going to draft a player that high and he won't make it. Mm-hmm. They'll give him a good audition, so he'll be on the roster no matter what, because that's a hell of an investment. And he did contribute some, so I'm sure they'll want to see a little bit more. But I mean, across the board, Anthony will probably, defensive backs that's just a tough position as is. I think him being available to play special teams could at least land him on the practice squad, worst case. But I didn't follow him a whole lot, so I can't say a lot about his performance. But I mean, in the NFL, man, if they ask you to do more, you do more. Mm-hmm. Just a little quick sidebar for me. That's the one thing I didn't do. I had my personal scout had asked me if I ever played O-line. I was like, no. I used to hate offensive linemen. So I was like, why in the hell would I ever play that? And come to find out, shortly after I got cut, it was like, man, you're athletic, you're strong. Definitely could have been a guard for us. I was like, well, shit. I mean, you should have just moved me then. Don't ask me. Like, I would have went. Right. But, hindsight 2020, right? Yeah. Should have made myself available. So, I think, McDonald's fine. Kolar's good. I think Johnson will probably be the only bubble guy, if any, just because he's a DB and there's so many DBs, so many young, talented guys. And if you flash, get 2 or 3 picks, you just never know. But he'll be on the team somewhere, though.
Yeah, and I think if Ant doesn't make the roster, he'll be on the practice team, I think. Mm-hmm. I hope so anyway. I think that'd be great. You making the practice squad's not a bad deal.
No.
And that's a great way to get your NFL career started. And Will McDonald, without a doubt in my mind, will be on the Jets roster. I doubt that he's an every down player as a rookie, but I think he'll be a guy that they can bring in obvious passing situations, and he can get to the quarterback. And I'll be really surprised if he's not on their roster. And man, I'm really pulling for Anthony Johnson and all those guys. I think Charlie had a really good preseason. I think that helps his cause. There's a lot of competition tight ends with Baltimore. They've got a lot of good ones. But I think he has a great chance too.
Yeah, rooting for all these guys. I mean, they're putting in the work. Again, I watched every preseason game of these teams just to see what they were going to do, to see them get in and get their reps, to see kind of how they were doing. Because I'm not going to lie, I have the Raiders scheduled on my calendar twice. I have them on there for a Monday night Green Bay game on October 9th. So after the Jack Trice 100 game, Green Bay plays the Raiders. So when I get back from Iowa State, I'm going to drive up to Vegas, to see Anthony. And then in November, Sunday night game, the Jets play. I think it's November 12th. I think that's the Sunday after the BYU game. I'm going to be in a BYU game. Then I'm gonna come back to Vegas and try to go see, the Jets with. I'm gonna hang out with Kevin Lazard. I know me and Kevin have been good people for a while, so we're gonna go see his son, Brees, and then hopefully Will as well see the New York Clone. So I got some of those dates on my calendar to get out there since it's a 4-hour drive from me. And then Marcus is gonna go with me as well since he's up in Vegas too.
Absolutely, I look forward to that. I've never been to an NFL game ever.
Oh man!
Why is that?
I really don't know. I've always been like, just in the comfort of my home watching the games. Liking to see the action. I'm a stickler for having bad seats that people think are good seats. Just because it's a good price don't mean it's a good seat.
Yeah.
I like to sit as being a fan, watching the action. I don't want to be up in the skybox, and I don't want to be down like on the basketball floor. I don't want to be on the court. I want to be able to see the action. And so a lot of times, tickets be, like that. And I'm like, just go ahead and watch it at home. But I've been in Chicago for so long, I never went to any of the Bears games. It is something that I definitely regret. But at the age that I am now, life is slowing down a little bit, so I'm trying to take in some of the greater things that I missed in life. So I absolutely will be going to those games.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing about that is, I don't want to pay $300 for a nosebleed seat to not be able to see anything. I'd rather go buy me a cheaper TV and have me a nice TV to watch it in my own home.
That's it.
That I can use multiple times. Yeah, I look at that and like you said, I've been down on the floor. I've been up in the top. I've been in boxes. My favorite place is about 10 rows up, even if it's basketball, football, about 10 rows up. Either in center court or on the sideline, so I can see the whole action. I don't like being behind the backboard or behind the end zone because you can't see the whole thing. So. And then you can't. I mean, I'm not trying to be seen by everybody. I want to see the game, and so you want the best view to see the game. But that's not what people there. They're there to have a show. I don't dress up when I go to the games. I wear Iowa State shirt to everything I go to. I'm wearing something Iowa State. I don't care where I'm at. That's it. And I don't care. But yeah, I mean, we look at these guys, John. You said you're thinking these guys are all going to be good, and you're hoping they all make it, and we'd always think that for our Cyclones. Did you see anything in this preseason? Did you watch any of them to see any takeaways that you would say, man, that set them up or anything like that?
Yeah, I watched as much as I could. I didn't see a ton of games, but I saw Charlie play a couple times. I saw Will play some. A lot of guys aren't getting the chance to play right now. Brees is coming off an injury, so he hasn't been playing, but I can't wait to see what he can do. Lazard played a little bit in the preseason, but not a ton. These guys that are established, they're just going to be in there for a series, and that's it. So that's what Purdy did too. But, isn't it cool that we got so many guys from Iowa State now that are not only in the NFL, but are really good NFL players, man. I mean, that's a blast. And so it makes Sundays a lot of fun to know that you can flip on and watch Brees Hall, or you can watch Brock Purdy, or you can watch all these guys play. And man, it's easy to cheer for. You got your Jet stuff going there.
I don't know what I'm gonna do with these. I don't know when the auction's gonna go live on these, but we got the Brees and the Allen and the Will. The Will, if Will makes a team, they are waiting to have his number officially made. So that's why I don't have the Will yet. But I will have all 3 Jets jerseys, and I will have Anthony. So for me, it's not about me keeping them. It's about me getting to somebody that can't get the opportunities. I talk to these guys. I get the opportunity to get these things from them. I want to give back to other people that can't get these opportunities. and I want people to be able to like, you know, enjoy this, whether they hang it on their wall or whatever they do with it. But you know, these are some good. These are the good guys. They're good Cyclones, down to earth. I will say, I had the pleasure to golf with Alan. I told this story. Had the pleasure of golfing with Alan. Steve Sukup had his 60th or his 50th anniversary of his company's golf event up at a golf course in near Hampton, Iowa. And it was a couple weeks after my golf event. And I went and golfed with Steve and Alan and another gentleman. And I sat there and talked to him. And I said, hey, I'm taking pictures of everybody giving me their phones, taking pictures of Alan. They don't care who I am. I'm nobody. And I accept that. And I'm taking these pictures and I'm like, we're getting a drink. I said, Alan, does this get annoying? Does this get overwhelming? He said, this is what I signed up for. And especially with being on the Jets, now it's a whole new fan base I'm doing it again for. He said, so I'm kind of starting over. Even though I've been in the league, I'm starting over with a new fan base that is going to embrace me. And so, no, this never gets old. And it's like, this is what I get paid to do. This is part of the job that I do. And when he said that, I'm like, man, that's great. I mean, I text his dad. I said, hey, you raised a humble kid. You know, like he's a very down to earth kid. You know, I say that because I'm 20 years older than him or so. And like, right. but he's a kid. And he's younger than my son. Excuse me. But yeah, just a good young man, good dude. So you know, much love, much respect to them, and I want to make sure I see them. Marcus Ship said you could sit in the cheap seats with him.
No, we're gonna get you down for the cheap seats. Ship. We're gonna get some good seats.
Ship gonna go out. And me and Ship had good seats when we watched Iowa State versus UNLV. When they played, then we were out there. I saw Shipley out there. We had some decent seats up there. That was a nice stadium.
I had COVID then.
Oh, you couldn't come to that?
I was getting ready for that game too. And I came down with COVID like 3 or 4 days before the game.
I know, because me and PJ texted you like 80 times and called you, and we were drunk one night, and you still didn't answer. Because you knew we were drunk. It's PJ.
It hit me pretty hard. Like it really knocked me off my feet for those first couple of days. It was really bad. Yep. I was in my office just laid out.
Got you. So the next thing I want to talk about is we're still talking about football. And this is before I get to you, John. I want to talk about what you want to talk about. I want you to ask some questions to these guys to get some things answered that you may have never had answered. You know, this is your opportunity because you got them alive on camera. But have you all been listening, or have you heard anything updates on this Michael Orr thing? So you know, there's this about the Michael Orr, the Blind Side movie, and about you know, he was never really adopted. He felt he was kind of bamboozled, for lack of better words, into this situation. And so, you know, there's these conflicting things. But lately, the movie producers are talking about the money that both have gotten from it. And I think it said like 767,000 or 700 and something thousand is what they got from the movie. And it didn't say if it was collectively each or whatever the case may be. Right. But what do you think of this story coming out now? Because the Blind Side movie's been out for a while, and now this story is kind of surfacing. Y'all got any? I don't have really anything that I know about it. But what do y'all think about it? What do y'all heard about it, or any of that?
Well, at this point, to me, like when things like this come about and they give half, you know, information and little bits of information here and there, I start to ignore it, because I'm like, I mean, you can't give me, I can't formulate an opinion off of anything that I don't have all the facts from. So, you know, of course, social media is going to run it. Every other post or every other sport blog, vlog, whatever, is going to have something about something that's going on. But, you know, I seen it. I saw the whole, and I wondered the same thing when you said the dollar amount. You know, I wonder if it was for them to split, is that something that they get yearly, or what the case may be. You know, they just put a dollar amount. And I saw that a couple of days ago, and you know, hey, we hear more about it. If we don't, you know, you really can't formulate opinions off of it if you don't have all the information.
Yep.
Yeah, that's well said.
14 years though. That's what I'm saying. Like 2009, that movie came out. What happened? What's happened recently to make this come up? John, you go ahead and say whatever you were going to say.
No, I agree with Marcus. It's hard to really come up with a big, firm opinion when you don't know all the details. I will say that if if Michael Orr hasn't gotten a penny from his story, that's really too bad, because it is his story. And, you know, I mean, it's a great story. And, you know, that's what Hollywood does, right? They take a script and then they extrapolate and they add some things to make it even more fairy tale. I was laughing thinking about Brock Purdy, because when Disney does a story on this kid, they don't have to make up that he was the last pick in the draft. If he was the second to last pick in the draft, the story wouldn't be near as good. But Disney doesn't even have to add that detail. But I mean, but that's what happens in Hollywood, is they take the story and they say based on a true story. But I don't blame him for, you know, being upset if he didn't get anything out of it, because it is his story and it's his life, and I think he deserves something.
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, to be that vulnerable and open to share that much of yourself with the world, and to not get anything in return, but another family is capitalizing on it, I can see, you know, where there could be an issue. But you're talking 2009 to now. I mean, that does kind of beg the question, what did change between a relationship, you know, with him, and why is that now? Why the big push now?
I was out in Los Angeles for the ESPY Awards the year that all that was going on. We were covering the Ed Thomas story, who was the football coach at Appleton Parkersburg that was killed, and that was a very tragic story. But anyway, we were there covering that, and you and I and actually I was out there. Iowa State was up for a best upset when they knocked off Oklahoma State in 2011. But anyway, when I was out there, I was at this event. There was like the after party, and both Michael Orr was there, and so was the guy that played him in the movie. So that was kind of cool. So I mean, at that time, he didn't seem to have too many problems with it. But you know, obviously times change, and it's like, okay, what happened in these 14 years? That's a great question, you know, because that's a long time for it all of a sudden to come up.
Well, I mean,
Toya said he got married and his wife said, "Where all your money at?" She said,
the NFL checks ain't rolling in the same.
They not. What's going on?
They wanted to know, hey, I married
the
you
residuals, man.
There you go.
Not Mike Orr, Michael Orr. Oh, where's Michael Orr money at? And then my homeboy Brandon said, not to mention it, anybody believe he didn't know how to hit until his mom showed him. You know, you got to embellish, you know. But
he was already a great football. He was already a great football player before he was adopted by the Tuies. Exactly. Yeah. So it's not like they used the salt and pepper shakers to really teach him how to play football, right? Right.
LJ, was it LJ, little boy? LJ was teaching him, you know, with the condiments. SJ. Yeah. So we gonna take our commercial break to do our paid sponsorship by Revelton. But I want you to think about this, John. You got that poster in the back of Jack Trice from 2000 and I think that was 13. I think that was a year of the jersey, but it was also it might have been the year the Jack Trice Club was opened, and I think that might have been either earlier than 13. I was there for the game when
says 08 on the poster. I don't know if that was it or not. But
it might have been it. Okay, 08. Then you got the 15 in the back. Either Seneca or Purdy or you know whatever. But as we think about talk about the story of Michael Orr, I have a script, a screenplay for a Trice movie. And I have somebody that wants to talk about making the Trice movie, and it's been out there all the time. So I want to talk to you and ask you about what would this story look like if this came out on film. And this is for you, Brent, you, Marcus, too. What do you think? And for all our listeners out there, put something in the comment about what you think that movie would look like, or what you would want to see in that movie as we try to build up this as the Trice 100. So, Chip, while they're thinking about that, let's hear from Revelton.
At Revelton Distilling Company, everyone has become a part of the Revelton family. From the Taylors and their daughter who helped perfect their award-winning gins, to the team who installed Lucy, our 33-foot-tall custom-made still, right down to the local farms that provide our coveted corn, and even the cows on those farms who consume our mash byproduct. Want to see the farm to flask come to life? Now you can tour Lucy and find out where we take Iowa's harvest and transform it into our finest spirits. Choose between a 45-minute tour or find out even more by scheduling a VIP behind-the-scenes tour to get the taste of the full Revelton experience. You can visit them at 1400 West Clay Street in Osceola, Iowa, or Find all of Revelton's award-winning spirits at any local grocery or spirits retailer.
Thanks, Revelton. And we will have all 8 bottles of Revelton's liquor at the Trice tailgate. The Trice Foundation is going to have a tailgate before the game. So if you're able to make it, we will be having samples of that so you can see what Revelton's doing. They're not sponsoring it, but I'm throwing it out there because they sponsor me here. So please, come by, say what's up. We got some things for you out there. And then, as we talked about this, so a guy of mine, I met him about 9 years ago. His name is John Aarons. And he lives in Chicago. John, we talk about Chicago. So he's out in Chicago right now, but he's an Iowan. And he wrote actually a screenplay and has written a couple versions of this screenplay. And there's a gentleman that left Hollywood and he formed this company, and it's called like the Blacklist. And what the Blacklist is people can send in screenplays that really nobody has heard of, that readers have seen, and they can go in there and submit it to them. And then they get an opportunity to meet with some writers and producers to possibly, enhance that writing and get it in front of others. And John Aaron's rendition and screenplay of Trice has gotten to that level. And now we're trying to make sure this gets to a motion picture. And I'm name dropping here again, but because these are important names and because these are important people. And so I'm going to be in DC at the end of the month of September. And whenever I'm out in DC, I meet with my guy, Kevin Blackie-Stone. So Kevin Blackie-Stone and I, whenever I'm in DC, we have dinner. And then I have dinner with him and a guy named Damien, who's the curator of the sports wing at the Smithsonian, the African American Museum. So we're trying to get the jersey that's out there of the captain that carried Jack off. We're trying to get it in the Smithsonian. And so we've been working on that to get that displayed in the sports wing. The sports wing was paid mostly by Jordan. You go in there, you see a lot of stuff out there, but Jordan put a lot of money up for that sports wing, but it's not all about him. It's a lot of different things there. So if you have not been to the African American Smithsonian Museum, please check it out. It's a great place to learn some history from the bottom up. You start from the bottom with slavery and you go up to where we are now in this era. And so it's a good place to go learn some history and things like that. Jack played in one game. Jack's from Ohio. Jack was born a slave. That's how the story starts. He died for his race, his family, and himself. He put himself on the line for that. And so how do you write a movie about this? What are some key points, John? I'm going to start with you, John, that should be in this movie as we talk about the life legacy of Jack Trice.
Wow, that's a big question.
I hit him hard, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible story. It really is. And I think anybody who's watched the 1 hour documentary, I narrated the 1 hour documentary that we have on Cyclones.tv on Jack's life. And it's called I Will, the Jack Trice story. And beautifully done by Tom Crochelle, who put all that together, all the research and found the pictures and all that stuff. Really neat. But anybody that watches that or watches one of the features that they've done on ESPN or CBS, you can't help but be moved by the story. And so I think it's something that absolutely would be really cool to have as a movie. I think that'd be neat. I'm just wondering which one of these two guys would play the role. If they still got enough quickness to pull it off. But man, that would be really awesome. And I guess that, the thing that really opens your eyes is just the level of things that he had to go through, in his own room, not allowed to be with his teammates, not even allowed to, hotels turning him down, saying you're not allowed to stay at this hotel, restaurants turning him down all the time. And what's sad is that we were still experiencing that, 30, 40 years later after that time. And really, to this day, we're still experiencing. I mean, we saw what happened in Jacksonville. Right. It absolutely breaks your heart. And, but man, what a pioneer, what a brave man to face all that and do it with grace and dignity. And man, I just love everything about his story. I think it's really, really cool. And I'm so glad that Iowa State University has chosen to really honor his history. This celebration, this year-long celebration that we're going to culminate with the TCU game is going to be absolutely incredible, and the throwback jerseys. And I don't think George, to answer your question, because I don't think, it'd just be Iowa Staters that would be interested in this story. I think anybody that's interested in human history would be interested in this story.
Yeah, and that's, and go back because you said something that kind of offended me. I would play Jack. They can
okay, all right. Good. All right.
Is that why we get a side by side?
Yeah. Y'all can play my stunt double. Because the reason why I posted this is because my man Brandon, he said something about having Morgan Freeman do it, but Brandon's also the one that said, hey, you're going to play a guy half your age, and you're going to need somebody to take all your spots when you play the football role. And you know what? So I have good friends that hate me.
It's just telling the truth.
Hey, Marcus, I don't think hey, you know what? Oh, man. But no, they have some good things on here. Brandon was talking about, the field time is limited. You had to make a movie jumping back and forth, telling this story, flashbacks and things like that, which is a good idea. So, Brandon, thanks for sending that out there. And then Toya said, letters from teams who do not want to play us because Jack was on the team. So you kind of go back to that. And if you follow me on Twitter or social media, I posted that the other day or like a week ago. And I just posted a letter. I didn't really say anything about it. And I posted letters from Mizzou. It was Mizzou or one of the Missouri schools.
It was Missouri. Yep.
And I posted it on purpose, and I didn't say anything for about 3-4 days. And it was on purpose. I wanted people to think about the letter. And it wasn't to spark negativity. It wasn't to spark anger. I wanted to come back, let people think about it, see it, interpret what they wanted to interpret, and then come back with what I wanted them to see. And what it is, Toya's on here listening, and I've told her this as well, is we're culminating Jack Trice's 100th year on October 7th at the game, honoring him. I don't know everything that's going on, but we'll have the jerseys that are in homage of him. They have the commemorative collection, which is an homage to him. Whatever else is going on nationwide, who I work for 9 to 5 is a sponsor, and they're going to do something at the game. October 7th, that's the game. October 8th was that Sunday. There's some events going on. Toya, let me know if I can say what I'm about to say. So I won't say it until you say yes in the chat because you're watching. And when she says yes, I'll say what I'm going to say. But the letter I posted for the reason was because, she said, yes, go ahead. So Sunday, there's going to be a ceremony, kind of not a reenactment, but at the Campanile at noon on the Sunday after the game, there will be a sort of reenactment. Pictures of that day at the Campanile that happened back 100 years ago will be out there. There'll be some special guests. I'll be one of the people talking. President Winterstein will be out there talking. We don't have the program set up, but that's going to be happening. That kind of culminates his life. And so, the Central Campus. The thing about that, and the thing about that letter is October 8th does not stop or end Jack's legacy. And a good way to honor Jack is to have him recognized at every game after October 7th. And the reason why I say that or said that was because of those letters, the season might not have happened had Jack lived because teams didn't want to play him. So because we're now continuing the games and we're continuing that season, Jack should be remembered in every single game after that because, again, he was not able to be there because of that. But had he lived, those games might not have happened. And so one of the ideas I threw out to athletics. So athletics, I hope you're listening because I'm putting you on the spot again. Not a negative way, but I want this to happen. And I'm going to keep saying it and I'm going to keep blasting it because I think it's a great idea. And I need Twitter to go and follow me on this one. Retire Jack's jersey and give it to me. Give me that number 37. Give it to whoever you want to. I'm not going to keep it. It's going to go in my collection. I already showed my wall, but retire his number 37, which we found is his number. Retired on October 7th, but for the rest of the year, let the team and the coaches select one player to wear that number 37 at every game the remainder of the season. Let that carry on for the remainder of the season to honor Jack as if he was there playing with the team. In 2009, at the Insight.com Bowl, I came out here and we played Minnesota, which is where he lost his life. once we won that game, people were like, Jack's ghost is lifted. Jack's been avenged. You know, it was these emotions because we beat Minnesota. And as a true Iowa Stater, you know who Jack Trice was. That was the feeling there in 2009 at that Insight.com bowl game. New Year's Eve, we're ringing in the year, raising Jack's spirit. And so to honor Jack, let that number 30, because nobody wears number 37. So put a 37 out there. Let somebody wear it every game after October 7th against TCU for the remainder of the season to honor a person that shows their character, their will. And it should be the first. I can't remember. I got to look it up now. The gentleman, the new guy that just won the Jack Trice Endowed Scholarship, Anthony Johnson Jr. was the first one to win it. They just announced the second one. Toya, you made Gary Grayvon. Let Grayvon wear that jersey either at the October 7th game or at the game after that. Let him be the first one to wear it to be the new recipient of this 100th year anniversary. Let that happen. Twitter, social media, Instagram, TikTok, everybody make that happen. Jack Trice 100, hashtag Jack Trice 100. Retire the jersey, retire the number, retire 37, whatever you want to put, but hashtag Jack Trice 100, retire 37 out there, and tag Trice Legacy so I get some follows and likes too, so they know what we're trying to do. And as you said, John, it's not just about Iowa, because Jack was out there doing it for his race, his family, and his community. The Trice Legacy Foundation we're going into our 4th year, September 20th. Our goal is to increase diversity at colleges and universities in Iowa by starting with the schools in Iowa. Gilbert School District just reached out to us about some opportunities. Des Moines East, Des Moines West are looking at some opportunities. Davenport. We want to start by increasing diversity because Iowa State had 2.62% black enrollment in 2002, fall 2002. We got to get that up in all our schools. Iowa, UNI, Grandview, Drake, DMAC, wherever they want to go. My plan, my goal is to help those kids to get there, stay in Iowa, build Iowa up, and make it a community, because that's where I felt like it was home. So those are the things I'm talking about. I got on my high horse for a little bit, but that's what I'm talking about. Can you clip that pitch and put it in your story, make it shareable? So Shipley, yep, he already put the thumbs up. I see him back there. So we're gonna do that. But that's one of the things that, is how can we do that? How can we honor him because he deserves to be honored? And that's my spiel for that. And I don't really got to play Jack. I won't even get that. If y'all want me to, I will. I got a lineage of a family, family legacy, family history. I share this picture right here. Who knows who that guy is?
Oh, that's downtown Jim Brown, baby.
Downtown Jim Brown. So that's Jim Brown. And then down in the corner, that's my mom.
Oh, wow.
So that's my mom, Wanda. And Kevin Hart wheelchair, really, Brandon. And then that's my cousin. That's my cousin Faye. And then that's my cousin Faye. So Jim Brown used to date my aunt. And so this is an old picture that I had, and I had my man Josh Kagavi. He restored it for me. So he took some of the cracks out because this is a restored version of it because it had cracks and everything in it. But I got to put this out there too. So yeah, that's just something, that lineage and Kara's my boots on the ground for my nonprofit, and she said I wouldn't follow the script. So that means she's reading it, she's watching it, because every time I had to talk about something, I have written a story, written a script, and I have not followed it. I've ripped it up and thrown it away. That's just how I do. So people know me too well. Now switch it over. We've been on here about 45 minutes, 48 minutes. I didn't see much Iowa State news going on. It's been kind of quiet. John, I talked about this last week. I reached out to Jarrell's mom, and I talked to Jarrell's mom, and she said everybody's handling it well, doing their thing, and God's gonna reveal that she trusts in her son, and this is what she wants to do. That she wants everybody to believe her son and believe this, and everybody's taking their breaks to get their time to think about what's going on and prepare themselves for whatever may happen. That affects our season because our quarterback, number one quarterback, and number one running back are out for the season. But it's been real quiet. This past week has been real quiet. But what I did see is that I don't know if I want to call out the state of Iowa for making this a bigger deal than some other states, because I guess it's depending on the government entity, they can choose to say that's not important right now, so they can pass on it. But Iowa felt it was important to go this route right now. And I'm not getting into that political piece. I don't know much about that, so I'm not going to talk about it. But that's what's been in the news, is that states can determine what they want to do and how they want to proceed on certain things. But have you all heard anything else in the news about Iowa State sports? I didn't find anything new to reveal or to talk about.
It's been quiet on my end, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, guys, I really can't get too deep in the weeds on the whole gambling investigation because I'm a university employee. And first of all, I don't know anything, which is pretty much always my standby that I go with because I really don't know anything. But no, you know, I do feel sorry. And I saw Ryan Harklaw, who, you know, Curveball, you know him real well. And I saw him saying the other day, it's just you feel for these kids because, you know, they made a mistake, and I get it, you know, and that happens at that age. I know I made a ton of mistakes at that age, and I'm not sure the punishment fits the crime, but that's another argument for another day. But I will say this, that I do think that the guys in that locker room had no choice but to move on, and I think they've done that. The new depth chart came out today, and one thing that I think a lot of people, I think you guys will appreciate this because Iowa State always seems to get underestimated, but I think a lot of people, when all this happened, just kind of wrote off Iowa State and said, well, they're not going to be any good. You know, there's no way they're going to be any good. And what you're selling short is what Matt Campbell's done over his 8 years and how he's built one good recruiting class on top of another. And there's a lot of really good players in this Iowa State program right now. And so Iowa State, there's been times in its history where it would have been more devastating to the program to have something like this happen. But right now, we've got a lot of good players, and we've got a good roster, and we're going to be fine. And I'm super excited about the season getting started. And I think Iowa State's going to surprise a lot of people. I think people are too quick to write Iowa State off. And as you guys know, we've seen it many times in our history. And a lot of times those when Iowa State teams are the most dangerous.
Yeah, you can't cut them out. You know, it's next man up. I mean, as you see that next man up, who's sharing something right now? Who's sharing the depth chart that you ship? Okay, so yeah, the depth chart is like, again, you have the next man up, and that's and Curvy, you talked about that. Curvy, you talked about that before about you just got to be next man up. So you know, and we all made our picks last week, John. You know, riding with Iowa State through the first 3 games. We want to see, and we got to win in all the first 3 games. Even against Iowa, we want to see what they do, and then kind of gauge that from there to see who steps up and who does their thing. But we're always riding with Iowa State because, you know, these aren't no slouches. They're on the team for a reason. Like you said, it's talent. You know, they made it to a D1 school for a reason. You know, if they weren't good enough, they would have been in a D2, D3 school, community college to get some reps to transfer. But these are D1 athletes that were recruited for a reason by Matt Campbell because he saw something in them that fit the program and the way that he wants to run things. So it is not just one person. You know, like, you know, it's getting the reps. The 2 backup quarterbacks behind Deckers, they didn't have a lot of yards. Last year they didn't have a lot of reps. Now they got to get these reps. So, you know, that's what they're going to do. The running back, you know, behind Jarrell, it was nothing. But they going to get the opportunity. It was nothing because they didn't have the opportunity because we had somebody that was doing what they needed to do for us. And now they're going to get the time to shine.
And we had a bunch of injuries too. Yeah, we had a bunch of injuries at the running back position, and I think the offensive line play is going to be improved. And Brent, you could comment on this, but I mean, I think football is the ultimate team game, and it's like, man, you better be looking out for the guy next to you and doing your job so that he can do his job and trusting him to do his job. And I feel like we got a great locker room and a great culture in our program right now. You've been around it, you've seen it. And I think not only are these good players, but there's good coaches coaching. And Iowa State football is going to be just fine. I'd love to hear what Curveball thinks, but that's how I feel.
I mean, yeah, I kind of second that, man. I've been preaching this next man up since we started this whole thing. But, you know, even just looking at the depth chart right there, I saw a lot of redshirt guys. And redshirt just means development, quite honestly. So a lot of those guys have been kind of sitting in the wings and, you know, obviously waiting on their time. And if we're being honest, that's always the danger when you're preparing for a team, because you really don't know. It's an unknown.
Mm-hmm.
So for, a bunch of new faces to come out, obviously there'll be some mistakes. That's just a part of the game. But these are guys that you can't pinpoint. I mean, you can go back to when Brock Purdy stepped out against Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
And he came in and went crazy. Nobody prepares for those guys. So I think that'll be something that we'll be okay with, just having those two young guys in there. And, we got a brand new OC this year. So, I mean, even watching the O-line play, for me, it's crazily improved. Just the tenacity behind them all. And I didn't see that the past couple of years. So I think we'll be just fine.
One of the things you hit on, Brent, was the new coaches. We got 3 new coaches in positions and strength positions that are going to help our team. We haven't gotten a chance to see what they can do. So this is their opportunity to shine, to show what they came here for, why they were recruited and paid to come here, and what they can do with what they have. And again, these were selected people for what they bring to support and complete, Campbell. So, I look at that and I say we have a lot to look at and a lot to learn from this. And that's what it's going to be, learning. And for us to have finished the way we did last year, I feel that we're going to finish better than we did last year. I think because I think people know there's so much on them, and I'm hoping that the Jack Spirit helps lift them up a lot this year. And they out there playing for something greater. One of the things that Jack says in his letter is, "I will do more than my part." This is where they got to show up. They got to do more than their part. Eyes low, facing forward. They got to do that, and that's what they got to be leaning towards and leaning in. Matt talks about the letter before every game, and Cyclone Fanatics, and I'm not talking about the .com. I'm talking about the fans, the fanatics. I'm talking about us. Like you said, John, we don't have a pro team in Iowa. This is our pro team, and we behind these kids. This is what we do. Every Saturday, every day when they're out there practicing, when they're traveling, we're behind them. So I'm not worried about it too much.
I mean, I'd love to get Marcus's opinion on this. Marcus, I was thinking back, just comparing it to basketball, 99, 2000, nobody's expecting Iowa State to do anything, right? Nationally, nobody's talking about Iowa State. Nobody's picking them high. And it's amazing what happens when a bunch of guys that have talent believe in each other, and just to watch it all unfold. It's one of the most amazing things to see. And that season is so memorable for that reason. But I'd love to hear your opinion on what it's like to be in a locker room and have everybody saying you're not going to be any good when you know different.
Well, that's the fun part about it. Just because some of these guys haven't been getting a lot of reps or a lot of playing time doesn't mean they can't play. A lot of these guys for whatever reasoning for them, they chose to go to Iowa State. They could have went to some different places, but wanted to choose Iowa State, and may have been behind a guy or two that were better, or whatever the scheme may have been. You never know what the case may be. But being an underdog, being able to come in and to have that focusedness that maybe a different college or a different team may not have. So I'm very excited about it. Totally heartbroken that we're having to go through this, but like you said, these kids made a mistake. It's not the end of the world for them. We're still going to support them, and definitely wish that they were still on the team, and we had them being a part of everything that we have there. But we totally understand what's going on now. We're looking forward to the guys that's going to be able to be the next men up and have a great impact for the ball club. And not being able to prepare for them, with the excellent coaching staff that we have, Coach Campbell is definitely going to throw some wrinkles out there, and we're going to surprise a lot of people. And once that snowball gets to rolling, hey, we're not going to stop anytime soon, hopefully.
I wanted to put this out there. I don't really care about Urban Meyer. Herb is Herb. But I doing work, we do Focus 3 is a group that we've done some training through. It's like error plus E plus R equals O. The event plus the response equals outcome. You can't control the event, you can't control the outcome, but you can control your response to that. one of the other things that in Urban Meyer's book, Above the Line, 4 to 6, A to B. The average football play is 4 to 6 seconds. You're going from point A to B. These new guys need to remember that at all times. You're doing that one play at a time. You got to chop. You can't eat the elephant whole. That's another one. You can't eat the elephant whole. You got to take it at bites. So they got to remember 4 to 6, A to B. You'll get there. You chop them down. You break them down. That's what it is. I mean, I look at these things like, I'm a movie guy. Coach Carter, when they didn't practice any offense. All they did was practice defense and running, and then he added in. But they got to this Delilah. I don't know who Delilah is, one of his fake sisters. But it's the thing about it is like, you focus on that one thing that you can handle like that. You control what you can control and control those controllables. And I think that the team's gonna be ready for that. And we're gonna support him on that. So
absolutely.
That's what's up. So before I let you ask whatever questions you want to ask of us, I have to ask you a question. Do you drink? Are you a drinker, a casual drinker, or a drinker at all?
Casual.
Have you tried any of the beers or vodka or cold brews that have been out there for the Cyclone so far?
I haven't purchased any of them yet. I will. Somebody handed me a Names Lager the other day, and I gave it a try. And thought it was good. Thought it was good. Thought it was really good. Yeah. I
listened to the Andy and Murph show last Thursday. They did a blind taste test on there. So I did listen to them, and I think they all picked the Ames Lager as the better one.
Well, the Hawkeye fan
they like.
Yeah, the Hawkeye fan. Andrew downstairs.
Yeah, he wasn't going to change it. He was like, I got to change my answers now. Can I change them? But I've heard good things about all of them. And we had Brent on our show, and Sam Anchor was just at he was just in Ankeny at Flight Bar down there doing a live podcast down there, talking about the beer and everything like that. But a lot of things coming out for Iowa State in this fall. But as we wrap up this episode, what questions do you have for these guys on here? What questions you want them to talk about? Anything you want to, any memories you want to throw out there about Iowa State, or what do you want to talk about? Because now is your time.
Wow, that's awesome. I appreciate it. I'll tell you what, I would love to hear from each of these guys. How connected they've stayed with their former teammates. Because to me, that's always one of the really cool things about being a Cyclone is that you're not just a Cyclone for those 3 or 4 years. You are a Cyclone for life. And the old expression, once a Cyclone, always a Cyclone. And I love talking to our former players about like how connected they've stayed with their teammates and which teammates they're still close to. So I'm just curious with you guys, like which guys on your teams do you guys still stay in touch with?
For me, with social media and everything, you're able to send all kind of messages quick. Me, one of my best friends, Paris Corner, my roommate there. We send memes back and forth all day long. And his younger brother, Golden Corner as well. And we just communicate via social media all the time. I mean, everybody changes their phone numbers all the time, so you can't really keep up with people's cell phone numbers, but social media I can pretty much walk people down a lot. I've been talking to Jamal Tinsley the last couple of days. I keep on trying to stay on him about this podcast. He's doing some good things up there. He was with an ex-teammate of mine, a guy that he grew up with, Norm Richardson. So they were doing some kind of like little kids camp or something that they were doing up there. So that's always good to see. But I talk to these guys a lot. Like I said, we're as we've gotten older and we're starting to slow down. In our younger years when we were playing pro ball, a lot of guys was playing in different places and stuff like that. You're just moving at 100 miles per hour. But now, we're starting to slow down, watch more of the games, watch more of the the pro games and the collegiate games as well. So we're able to communicate a lot on social media. So I keep in touch with a lot of them. I'm extremely busy, so I try to slow down as much as I can. But we have a lot of great lives.
That's awesome. How about you, Curveball? Who are you still in touch with?
Man,
probably a lot of them. You're still living around here.
A lot of them. Yeah. It's luckily having the business up here, and having so many really good teammates. A lot of them, anytime they come in town, they'll stop by the store. So
awesome.
Get to see a lot of guys. In that regard, we don't talk all the time, obviously, because everybody's living their lives and wives, kids, jobs, the whole deal. So, you know, like Marcus said, man, we keep up on social media all the time. I probably talk to the top of Ruben, Marlon Moses, you know, Brett and Todd. We talk a lot, you know, just always just some, you know, quick check-in or whatever. But yeah, we, you know, anytime these guys come in town, I'm super thankful. I just saw Tyson Smith 2 days ago. He popped up on me and was in town for a funeral, but he came by and it's like, man, I wanted to come in and see you. So
I love I just love hearing the names. I mean, you mentioned Otava Rubin, and I remember, I mean, nowadays there's a few guys that are 320 pounds that can run. But back then there weren't many that could run like he could. He could get sideline to sideline. He could move. He was a heck of a player. He was a heck of a player. Was. I love hearing those names, man.
John, you may recognize one of the guys in here. I was just with him a couple weeks ago.
Holy cow! I better put the glasses back on here. See what we got. Holy cow!
Big Marcel.
Oh, Marcel Spears.
Marcel Howard.
Marcel Howard.
Oh my God.
Marcel Howard. Yes. Oh man.
So
no, that's yes. He was a big human being then, and he's a big human being now.
We do something called Bourbon in the Burbs once a year in Chicago. We go to somebody else's house and we bring all bourbons and things like that. And you know, I saw him, so he's out in the Chicago area. But you know, it's still keeping up with him. Awesome. You know, he still has a love for the game, and you know, but yeah, that's great. You know, and it's like these guys
on there too.
Yeah, Jen. You know, do you remember Jen Bice, John? I'll share it again. You remember Jen Bice, pitcher for softball?
Softball from Woodward Granger. Yeah. Absolutely, I do. Yes, I do.
Yep. So there she is, right there.
Yeah, we honored her. Right. We honored her at a game about a year ago, and I've heard she's doing pretty well right now, and that's great to hear.
She is. I was at their house about 3 weeks ago. I go out about every 3 to 4 weeks. I go out and see Jen and PJ. Awesome. I knew Jen and PJ separately. I knew Jen from sports and I knew PJ just from being a student, and they ended up getting together later. But she's had 5-6 scans that are stable because she's dealing with her cancer, and so it's been 28 months, and so she's doing well. So again, if I can afford to go, we travel. We're actually going to Denver to see Colorado versus Nebraska here in 2 weeks. So I try to hang out with them and do as much as I can with them. And I don't talk about what's going on. I just get their mind off of it and be my dorky self. I'm always going to be that dorky.
Make sure you take that guidance in between them 2 Iowa State stars with y'all. You know, take that non-athletic fellow.
Wow. Oh man, I hate y'all.
We're talking about. I see that question there, George.
Yeah, we're gonna put that question there. That's how we gonna end this.
That.
We're gonna get off what Marcus was saying and we gonna go to this question. So this is what they do to me, John. So
all right, here's my favorite memories of these guys. Okay.
All right.
I'll start with curveball. Okay. Like I said, there's never going to be another defensive tackle in the history of college football that has 3 50-plus yard returns for touchdowns, right? So,
that's cool.
so the first time he does it, he does a backflip into the end zone and gets the flag for the unsportsmanlike conduct, which was kind of a bad deal.
More like a back flop, but I'll give it to you.
A little bit of a back flop. Yeah.
But no flipping.
So, and I remember I was calling these games, so this was a lot of fun for me. But the second time, I think it was against Kansas, he got the interception, took it all the way back, and didn't flip this time. And I said, this time he nailed the landing, you know, no 15-yard penalty. But man, to me, the tornado game is the all-timer. And I think Eric pointed out that after he scored that touchdown, he was like second on our team in touchdowns at that point of the season. So it was pretty cool. And I have great memories of him playing. And Marcus, man, I'm telling you, honest to God, because I know Kenyon Martin got the Player of the Year, the Wooden Award, but he was hurt, and there was not a better player in America than Marcus Fizer. And especially those last 15 games of that season. He was at another level that was unbelievable to watch. And you combine him with Jamal Tinsley. And my favorite memory, though, was when Marcus grab that sign from the fan because everybody was, Steve Alford,
Right.
Marcus had heard enough about it. He was a Larry Eustace guy. And so after we beat Iowa, he goes over and grabs this sign from a fan, stands up on the scorer's table and holds it up and says, I love Larry Eustace. And that was awesome. And so I have so many great memories of these two guys. It's absolutely amazing. Of course, the dunk over Chris Mem probably is what everybody's expecting me to say, and that was pretty cool too. But there were a few others. He had one in that Iowa game where he ran the floor and Tinsley hit him on the fly, and he caught it in stride and dunked that thing. And there weren't many guys his size that could make that play, and that's what I love.
That was a fun game.
You know, George, you were saying earlier it was all running and defense. That's what Marcus's practices were like.
Yeah.
With Tim Floyd and Larry Eustace, it was all running and defense. You know, Walt Tinsley said, "I didn't come here on a track scholarship." You know,
these guys were good times.
These guys were awesome.
Track guys tell us that. Like they was like, man, you guys run more than us. We used to be in the rec center running more than the track guys on the track, like. But hey, it got us in shape. We was ready though.
That's why I said one of you guys should play Jack Trice. You know,
we had. Hey, John,
you guys are in shape.
we had Getty on here a couple months ago, so he can get him in shape for it. He can get him ready for the role.
I like.
You know, we know Getty can.
I like it. That movie better come out in 2026.
Get the ball rolling. Get this thing going. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Hey, John, we appreciate you jumping on with us. Glad you could be on here. You know, hey, Brent, I know you talked about you got new hours at Coaches. What's your you got some new hours? Tell us about your new hours.
Yep. So Tuesday through Friday, we're open now at 6. So from 6 to 1 p.m. And then Saturday and Sunday, we're 7 a.m. to 2 p.m.
All right.
An extra hour earlier, an extra hour later, and another day. So
all right.
No excuse now to slide on in.
That's what's up.
That's aimed at you too.
You're on mute, Shipley.
Brent's over there on Saturday.
Hold on, Brent gotta call me out every time.
I had to get him.
Every time.
Hey man,
you know
I'm in town, man. Yeah, okay, I got you. I mean, I'll be there. You know, I'll make sure I'm there for you. I might not show up for Shipley.
Hold on.
No.
You didn't show up. You didn't show up to the dedication for the statue.
I was working.
It was at night.
I was still working. Somebody got to roll them kolaches. I got to roll them. These are hand rolled. They don't truck.
Make themselves. You know,
that's it.
Marcus, how's Hunger Loaves going, man?
It's going good. I mean, we're still in the early stages of it all. I mean, my wife's still putting everything, you know, that we want to have it streamlined to the way we want it to be done to make sure that, you know, the ball is not dropped on anything concerning it. But, you know, we're just still putting our minds together, mind melting together, praying about it. You know, once this thing gets to where we want it to be, then, you know, that's another snowball effect thing that we're looking forward to having our family and everyone a part of. And, you know, we just not trying to get ahead, you know, putting the cart in front of the horse. We just trying to make sure that we do this thing right because we have the feeling that once everything gets the way it's supposed to be, then it's just going to, you know, take off from there. And we want to make sure that we don't drop the ball on any of that.
That's what's up. And the Trice Legacy Foundation is doing this thing. So as we close out, George Trice, Brent Curvey, Marcus Pfizer, and John, we're going to give you the honor of saying what you want to say to close us out on this episode of Side of Storm. So we want you to give the closing remarks for us because you are our guest.
Well, I appreciate that. It was just an honor to visit with you guys, and I really appreciate you, and I appreciate you staying so connected to Iowa State. I mean, that's what's really cool. I mean, you guys went on and did great things with your professional careers, but you still keep Iowa State in your heart, and we absolutely love that. That's what being a Cyclone's all about. So it's special. I appreciate you guys, and man, I can't wait, George, for October 7th. I think that's and 8th, and it's going to be a really cool weekend in Ames, and very deserving. So thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Been an honor. Good seeing you, John.
Good seeing you.